These are my all-time favorite books. I still think it really is worth the hype. It's pretty spicy. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ivy and today I'm going to give you guys a little book recommendation because I'm a bookworm and I just love reading. So first of all, these books are divided into like 3 categories. The biggest category is romantasy because I'm a romantasy girly. Yeah, I just love romantasy. The other one is just normal romance novels, and the third one is just other stuff. So yeah, and we're also going to start with that. So the first book I'm going to talk about is The Revenge Game. It may look like a romance novel, but it isn't. It is actually about feminism. There is a love story in this novel, but I do think that it is only there to emphasize the feminism. But just so you know, this is not a normal romance novel. The focus is on feminism. If you're into it, go read this book. I don't think it's spicy. It looks pretty. And it has an insane plot twist at the end. It was crazy. It changed me. It's a pretty good feminism book. It's pretty thin, so why don't you just read it for fun? So the second book is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. If you're on Book Talk, you probably know this book. Maybe you're hating it, maybe you're loving it. For me, this was a pretty good book. I even bought the second one. I haven't read it, but I bought it. It's on my shelf. It's a dark romance novel, and it's from the Devil's Night series. It's the first book, and it's pretty spicy. Yes! It has both Erica's and Michael's perspective. The story is both told like in the past and in the present, so it makes the story more interesting, but it could also be a little confusing sometimes. But please be aware that this is still a dark romance novel and it may contain topics that you're not comfortable with. If you want to start reading a dark romance novel, maybe you can start off with this one. It's not too intense, but if you're not comfortable with topics like violence or something like that, please check it out before you buy dark romance books because maybe that's just not for you. But it's not as intense as like Haunting Adeline. A little disclaimer here, but I've never read Haunting Adeline. It's just a feeling of me that I think that it is more intense than Corrupt. Okay, now we're moving on to our first actual category. Romance novels, and I'm going to talk about Landon and Shay, but I read it in German, so it's called Wie die Stille Flammenfall, and it looks like this. It's utterly beautiful. Prove me wrong, but I think the German cover is more beautiful than the English one, and the name, because the English one is just called Landon and Shay. The story behind this is actually that these got me into reading after being years of the biggest book hater ever. It's a little enemies to lovers high school story, and I was obsessed with it. Yeah, I like the first one way better than the second one because the second one's kind of like 10 years later, and then it felt like they were so old, but like probably they weren't, but still. This one is also pretty spicy. Not that spicy, but it has smut in it. It has both Shay's and Landon's perspective, which is pretty cool. I liked it. This has a kind of open ending, so it's fine if you just don't read the second one, but like if you want both, do that. Maybe I wouldn't read it now after I've read so many other books, but these two are really good to start off with. Now we're going to move on to the Twisted series. I'm sure you guys know the Twisted series, but I still have to talk about it. The thing is, I don't have the first book here. I gave it to my best friend and we haven't seen each other, so she still has it. But this is Twisted Games. It's the second book of the Twisted series by Ana Huang. She's pretty popular in her books as well, her series. I have to say, I've only read Twisted Love and Twisted Games, so I haven't read Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies, which I'm still going to read. I just don't have them right now because I have to say pure romance it's getting a little boring for me after a time, so I have to switch it up. after one romance book, I have to read like 2 to 3 romantasy books because I just think they're so much more interesting. But I still really, really like the Twisted series. It's really, really cool. Also written in both Bridget's and Ree's. I guess his name is Reese. I've always called him Rise, but I think his name is Reese. Perspective. It's also pretty spicy. Like, all the Twisted books are very spicy. I know a lot of people love Twisted Games. Many have said that Twisted Games was their favorite book out of the whole series. But for me, I think Twisted Games wasn't as good as Twisted Love. I'm sorry, I haven't read Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. But my best friend said that she liked the others way more than Twisted Games since, like, as a couple, they're perfect. But, like, whole storyline could be a little bit boring in comparison to the others, but I still recommend the series because I just think it's just such a cute, lovely series with enough of spice but not too much. Okay, now we move on to another book, still written by Ana Huang. It's King of Wrath. It's her other series. I only read this one, but I love it. And still dual perspective and awesome. I loved this so much. Okay, so again, this is also enemies to lovers, but this time it's about an arranged marriage. And again, nothing new. I'm obsessed. By the way, if you want to read Twisted and the King of Sin series, you can read them as individual books. But if you want to read the whole series, I would still read it in order. Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, Twisted Lies. And then start with King of Wrath and then King of Pride, I guess. And then, oh my gosh, the other ones. Since it could spoiler the books that you should have read. It's not a must, but I think it's better. I didn't do it. Most of her books are like enemies to lovers coded. Some of them are a little more enemies to lovers. Some of them are like less enemies to lovers. So yeah, these are really, really good books. So if you want to read something good, go read them. They really are worth the hype. Okay, so now we're going to move on to my romantasy books. This is the best genre. I just love it so much. Okay, I'm going to start off with my favorite. I've also read this in German. Kingdom of the Wicked. In German, they're all called Kingdom of the Wicked. In English, I think the first one is called Kingdom of the Wicked. The second one, this one, is called... What is the second one called? Kingdom of the Cursed. The third one is Kingdom of the Feared. These, I love the covers, okay? Guys, I love the covers. Awesome. These are my all-time favorite books. Love them so much. It's enemies to lovers. It's romantasy. And it's also about demons, devils, gods, witches, and all the stuff you can think of. But instead of the dual perspective, now we only have Emilia's point of view, which is also really, really cool. It's slow burn though. So I'm not a big fan of slow burn. I like it when it's like slow burn, but not slow burn, if you know what I mean. This one's slow burn. I started it and I read a little bit and I was like, oh my god, this is so boring. And then I stopped and then I read some other books and then I came back to this one and then I continued reading and I was like, oh, this is so boring. But at the same time, it has something that like just gripped and you know, was like, oh my god, keep reading, and then I kept reading. The only spicy thing in the first book is like a kiss. But I have to tell you, the second and the third book, there's so much spice in it. It's so spicy. But I still have to say it's not too much because it also has the storyline, which is so interesting. It has so many plot twists. Guys, if you're into plot twists, get this book. If you're into spice, get this book. If you're into like romantasy in general, get this book. This is bestseller tolerance. But the first and the second one, it just has bestseller on it. And I don't know any person who read this. If you read this, write it in the comments, please, because you got taste. I love you. You don't even know what I would do to read this book for the first time again. It's insane. I just love it so much. You guys don't know. I was so shocked because the plot twists are insane, okay? Okay, we have to move on. The second book I'm going to talk about, the second romantasy book, The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. So this is book 1. The second book is called The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. I have that one too. I just bought it recently. The male lead of this novel is a vampire, but our female lead is a human. Even though I haven't read The Hunger Games, I do think that this book is kind of similar to it. So both the female and the male lead are in this game, and they're really not supposed to help each other because only one person can win at the end. But you know, they still do because it's a little love story. It got one smut scene in this one, but I'm pretty sure it gets spicier in the second one. Oh my god, okay, this one's good. It has a trigger warning. I'm just going to read it. This book contains subject matter that might be difficult for some readers, including violence, torture, off-page, flashback of rape, constant withdrawn, self-harm, emotional abuse, slavery, and references to sexual abuse. So if you're not comfortable with it, this book's not for you, but if you think it's okay, go read it. It's good. It's actually good. I still have to read the second one, but the first one was so good. Now, moving on to the Shatter Me series. Because the Shatter Me series, everyone knows about this. I have 4 books here. The rest of the books and also the novellas, my friend gave them to me. It's awesome. It is really, really worth the hype. But I have to say, it's really slow. Like, it's a slow burn book, but it's so slow. I was going insane. You know, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh my god, you know, I've read this book, but I didn't finish the whole series, you know, because it was just too slow. Other than that, this is a really, really good dystopian enemies lover story. It really makes you invested into Juliet's feelings by reading all the crossed out words, and all the plot twists are insane again. But I do have to say that the first 3 books are the best ones. Do you see this? The Shatter Me series is not really spicy. In the first 3 books, they only kiss. After that, I don't think it's smut. I would actually say that it's more like lemon, but it's not that spicy like some of the other books I've mentioned. I still think it really is worth the hype. It's still not my favorite, but if you haven't read it, I think you should definitely go and check it out. Okay, now the last book I'm going to recommend is Ever and After. It's my current read. I only have a few pages left, like about 50 pages, like these here. If you see this, the purple spots is because, oh my god, I had it in my school bag. It was snowing, and the snow fell into my bag and then onto this book, and now it just looks weird. I'm so sad, guys. But never mind, I still think it looks pretty cute. On the back of it, it says that it's a duet. It is not. There are 3 books. Okay, so this book is based on fairy tales, and it's pretty crazy. Sometimes I'm like, okay, this is too much like the reality we're living in. You know, I read to escape reality most of the times, and if they say something like XYZ took out their iPhone, it feels like it's too much like the reality I'm in. So I didn't really like that, but I'm very excited for the second one, and it's kind of like a love triangle. The first 100 pages are pretty boring. I was like, dude, you're talking about the same thing over and over again, and it's literally written on the back that it is going to happen. I know it is going to happen. It is not a spoiler, but the protagonist is going to wake up a sleeping prince, and with that, the magic comes back to the world. But the first 100 pages, she's just talking about it. And I'm like, that was pretty boring, because she's like, oh my god, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Oh my god. I mean, she did it in the end. We all know that. So this is not a spoiler. It's kind of confusing what is happening and who is who. It definitely gets better. This one is not spicy. There are a few kissing scenes, which I feel like are written a little bit weird in German, but I'm pretty sure it is better in English. I guess it's going to get spicier. So if you like fairy tales and magic things, it's kind of brutal, by the way. This is also like, many people get killed in this book, and just a lot about like violence, and some things are written really, really detailed. For me, it's fine, but if you're not fine with topics like, you know, death, very detailed description of things like this, like, please don't read it. But if you're okay with that, it's actually a pretty cute book. So that's it with the video. I'm very happy and really grateful that you watched the video till the end. And I hope I mentioned some books you haven't read but want to read in this video. So I hope this video helped you. If you like this video, maybe you can give me a thumbs up. Yeah, tell me in the comments if you've read any of those books or if you want to read any of those books, and if I should do another book recommendation. But you have to give me time because I have to read all the books I still have on my TBR. Thank you very much, and I hope you can have a nice day or a nice evening. Bye!